Okay, so today hopefully we can finish off the rigging. The only thing left is to rig the leg and put in the arm or a twist bone with the arm. Maybe put some bones on the eye, and I need to add irises to the eyes. Also, bones on the irises. So hopefully that's the hard part's over and I can finish this. But that's the plan for today, anyways. Okay, so continuing off with the arm from last time, um, more or less did some of the rigging off line. Basically, I put in the rest of the bones. It did some re weight painting to smooth out the finger movements. Also added this bone to the thumb because the palm movement wasn't great, and I needed that bone to sort of handle it. Still not too great from the looks of it, but it's better than it was. Yeah, okay, and yeah, palm movement. Okay, so now twist bone. So last week I was talking about hands, and the issue of hand is that you get some shrinkage happening. Well, actually, maybe because it's Chicky's hands are really thick, it's not too much of an issue. But okay, so there's still some issue, but it's okay. So let's put in chest bones, see how that looks, and then we'll carry on from there. Because normally there are twist bones in the wrist or at least support bones. Okay, so I need to lock because I'm gonna be adding a bone. I just want to work on that particular bone, so I don't want to make changes to the other weights. So I'm gonna lock all the weights for now. Now, the twist bone is gonna be parented to this bone here, but it's going to overlap this bone. So I'm just going to duplicate it. Make sure I have the correct bone. So this thing. And I'm going to set it to halfway. Now change the parenting on this bone. Okay. Okay. So this will be wrist, twist, L, and I don't have X mirror on. That would be good here. Okay, so undo that so that I can put X mirror in. Do that. I want to duplicate on both sides. Grab this ball thing here, drag it to about the center, and rename it to, let's say, wrist twist dot L. Copy and paste it over here. R. And might as well show you a trick because it's a neat little trick, but okay. Basically, I want this bone to be perfectly aligned with this bone. And what you can do is put uh, kind of a weird way, but basically you can change the orientation reference uh, by clicking this section here, and then you can click the add to make the orientation reference another object. In this case, I'm referencing the bone here. And what I can then do is, okay, I've only recently learned about this, so I'm gonna see if I can just do it this way. Okay, so yeah, does that, but I don't want to move this bone, so I have to set it to active element. Now, if I just, right, I forgot to set the screen cap keys. Okay, and now you just set one of these axes is correct. Okay, and that is now aligned. And I don't need a reference to this bone orientation anymore, so I'm gonna close that, delete that. Okay, so we have the twist bone for the wrist, and I will now need to assign it to the arm. Okay, pose mode. And now just to double check that everything's locked, so I can use the auto rigger. And actually I want this bone to be unlocked. So lower arm, because I want half the weights to be on this twist bone here and half the weights on the lower arm. And the purpose of the wrist twist bone, well, okay, yeah, well, actually I need to figure out where this lower bone is. KL, okay, these two. Okay, and now I can pair these two together. Okay. And let's see if this works better. Okay, need to adjust the painting here, but let's also check to see what the weights look like. Turn off that. Okay, so okay, and checking the twist here. Well, actually, this shouldn't matter. The twisting is controlled by this bone here. Kind of want to smooth these vertices a little. Okay, probably not good, yeah, actually. Okay, now that let's just say that twist bone is working. In that case, if it is, what we want to do is copy rotation, copy it to hand dot L, and we want to be in local space and make the influence 0.5. So like local space as a reminder is basically whatever axis this thing is on. Basically, there's world space, which is basically whatever this thing is doing. Uh, so yeah, so it's basically the absolute rotation relative to the world or something like that. This is basically the absolute rotation, no matter what. Y is forward and backwards, X is left and right, Z is up and down. Local is axis relative to the object themselves. So then in this case, Y is the basically up and down section. Z, if Z is, where is that? Up and down. Basically, if you double tap the direction key twice, that's the local space. And this is, yeah, that's the plan. So, but first, just to save time, because, well, yeah, I have to first finish the rigging so that it can copy it. So that I don't need to re-rig Poyo. Okay, so, and also, and since this is the twist bone, I just wanted to rotate in one direction. I don't want to rotate it in more than one direction. And yeah, this is to help with the twisting of the arm. You generally you want to have a twist bone whenever you have basically a twist. Whenever you're trying to twist a limb or something, just so you can distribute the weights across whatever you're twisting. Because if you don't do that, you get a scrunched up hand effect due to the shrinking of bones. Okay, so that should be fine for the arms, and now the leg is not doing anything right now. Actually, this should be doing something because I'm using a spin modifier, and yeah, okay. So this should bend the leg, but I need to do the rest of the leg. Okay, so since okay, this one is, if I have this done correctly, it should be controlled by the thigh. Otherwise, I'll have to distribute half of it to the body. Well, okay, let's just see what the auto rigger is going to do, and then go from there. Okay, so that's what I was planning on doing anyways. Looks like it didn't get the body weights, just the thigh weights. And so the toes should be straightforward. Hopefully no weight painting. Otherwise I will have to weight paint it. And yeah, so the toes need to sort of be in the same weighting across all three. So I'll just do that. Do that quickly. Okay. Now, why isn't it weight painting? Sphere, fall off, front face only, turned off. Yeah, so the setting I usually go for is turning off front faces only and projected. That's the setting you want to have if you want to be able to color through the mesh. It's more saves time, but the painting does get trickier because you're able to color through the mesh. Okay, so I think I have a left foot, not a right foot, so you can't really, nope, unless the foot is backwards. Okay, what is happening with this? Why is it now? Oh, because, nope, it's not a skin modifier. Okay, that is painting. Oh, because the weight is, no, the weight is 1. Okay, why is it not painting this section? Okay. Switching to vertex mode. And if I go into item and do this, yeah, but the tool isn't painting. That's going to be, okay. Let's see, not doing it. I guess I'll have to do it the other way. Toes, do that. Okay. And then I can just smooth it out with the smooth option here. Yeah, I can paint the middle. I can't paint the sides. I probably have some setting open somewhere that shouldn't be on. I have to figure that one out. Is it because it's blur? But there's only blur. Okay, so it's not painting again. Okay, so I'm not sure what I have on right now. So I'm gonna have to fix that later off stream because it's just being uncooperative here. And well, I can just do this for now. It'll work. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to fix this later. Okay, so I think we have almost everything way painted. I just want an iris because uh, you do want to be able to control the iris using bones. You can also do it using blend shapes, but for the yeah, basically you do need an iris so that you can look left and right. At least with the eyes. Uh, Let me see if I have the correct iris shapes. Yeah, it needs to be a bit smaller. Well, also you can control the size of the iris using bones too. And of course, there's also the option of just using textures to do this. Where you just paste the texture and then you animate the texture. Or at least sort of like sprite animation. So you're gonna do a sprite animation for the eyes. Okay, I'll just hide it then. Okay. Uh, let's see. Now I think if that's every. Oh yeah, one more thing was that for the mouth, it was if you open last week when you open up Chicky's mouth, it was like a flat 2D thing. Not 2D, but it was just flat. So what I did was I added a bit more surface. So basically, I add volume to the beak, so it's more solid looking. Not sure if that's doing too much, and yeah, that's. And not sure if you wanted to just texture the mouth or if I should dig a hole. So I just kept that at tail fin. Okay, okay. So we have. I forget tail fin and I forget the feathers. So yeah, usually if you want like sort of jiggle physics for the tail or the hair, sort of like letting it blow in the wind, there's yeah, I think generally the best way is just to have a spring bone of some sort to handle that. So then basically if for whatever purpose you're using it for, this bone will be very loose and it will just bounce up and down, left and right, depending on the character's motion. And that's how basically it's, yeah, that's how accessories and all that work. And also you can always just hold it too if you want to do that. Okay, and this thing. Okay, and this should control the tuft of hair here. Okay. Now I think we have everything now. And if that's the case, what we can then do is let's let's call this Chicky. Let's create a new collection and let's call this Poyo. And now I should grab a picture of Poyo just to see what sort of things I need to change. Okay, so Poyo is almost identical to Chicky, but top of his head is slightly different. Well, okay, I'll just start with this first. I'm just gonna copy Chicky here. And copying it and not duplicating it because so the difference between a duplicate and a copy is that duplicate copies exactly what you've selected, but if there's references to other objects because it's using them, for example, if it's copying, if it has a reference to an armature, like if I go here and there's armature reference here, duplicate will not copy this reference. It'll reference the same armature. And sometimes you don't want that because you want like a separate armature for per character, or maybe the next character has a separate armature that you want to modify. Copy will copy the reference object to and then duplicate it. So that's why I'm copying it just in case. Basically, it also copies anything. Yeah, it copies any reference that the selected object has. So if I, yeah, as an example, basically, if I duplicated this thing and it has the same, well, okay, well, you can always just duplicate the armature too, like this, and then you have a second armature, and then you can just make the reference to this armature. But then that's just extra work. So instead, you could just copy this, and then it'll give you, and it'll also copy the armature for you. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy it and then paste it. And now I'm going to need to see if why my computer is freezing. Okay, what is happening? Okay, I'll just close this application that I have open. Uh, need to close it, but Task Manager is also freezing. Okay, I think my computer is almost back. I just need to close this one application that's taking up too much memory. Okay. I'm not gonna push Alt F4 in case I destroy everything by accident. Close window. Okay. Okay, almost there. It's almost closed. Okay, am I still streaming? Okay, am I? Okay, so it looks like I'm still online. And memory is almost back to normal. Okay, continuing. Okay, so I have Chicky copied. Now I can make adjustments to this copy for to get Poyo to appear. Okay, I'm just gonna end task here. Actually, I should not have ended that task. Okay, good thing I still have the phone. I'll have to grab a picture from the phone. Okay, Okay. I'll just open Chrome then. Okay, so what's the difference between Poyo and Chicky? So other than he's smaller, or okay, smaller. I'm not sure if the arm is smaller. The feet is definitely smaller though. I think the arms might be smaller. And then the feather, there's two, and the feather is sometimes together and sometimes split. Eyes, in terms of eye shape, is relatively the same. Beak, relatively the same. Arms might actually be slightly smaller. Okay, so for the leg, what I can do is, yeah, okay. So instead of just resizing the leg, what I can do is I can just scale down the legs here. So instead of actually making, yeah, I don't need the, okay, making the changes directly on the mesh, I can adjust the size of the actual bones, and that way the mesh will also scale with the bones. Then let's say, and that's why I needed to finish the armature side of it first so that I can copy and paste it over without having to repaint everything again, and also to be able to scale the parts appropriately. So it's like slightly smaller, I think, but slightly smaller, but more. Yeah, I think it's like, okay. I think the arms may need to be a bit thicker. Actually, no, I think it's just the arm length is shorter. The hand size is about the same. Well, actually, a bit tough to tell. Okay, so I think it looks more like something like that. The eyes, though, I think the eyes might be a bit too low. Okay, so I guess I'll just make the adjustments directly to the mesh instead here. And just so I don't need to make micro adjustments, I can turn off proportional editing. Proportional editing changes the nearby vertices by a certain amount as indicated by the curve. So smooth is the further out from the radius of radius, the less the effect is, and sharp is basically the same amount of influence, no matter the distance, and inverse is less, more influence the further away. But yeah, you'll have to look up what each does, but more or less This will save some time when you're trying to make small adjustments to a to a general location. And the eyelids will have to be changed. Actually, I need to see where the eyelids are in terms of posing. So rest position first. Let's turn off the armature. Okay, so the eyes by default are in the head. Now, okay, this lip corner. Uh, Lower eyelid. Okay, that's the lower eyelid, and I still impose rest mode. Okay, so it needs to be a bit higher then. But okay, turn this green off so I can get a more accurate read on where it is, and turn it back on. Okay, too high now, or yeah, okay, it might be just too high. Okay. Let me just make sure that I'm not moving anything I don't want to. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna need to turn this off and just tip it slightly. Okay, and that's the eyelid. No, still a bit too low. Actually, I do have scale on. G. Okay, so still too high. Actually, I think I can just change one of these settings here. And then I can just adjust it. Nope, can't. So yeah, basically with the armature on, what happens is that most this orientation thing, transformation orientation, is no longer correct. If you if so, if I change it so that to move it down, every vertex sort of moves wherever I want to. So I have to temporarily turn off armature, and then now it's no longer an issue. But basically, one of the issues of armature is that if it's active and if the mesh is already in the pose, the vertices don't go where it needs to go because the orientation has been transformed by the armature, and so each vertex now has a different orientation, and that's the thing with armature. Also, that's why you should finish the mesh first before putting on an armature, because that's, well, obviously you should have finished the mesh first before you put on an armature, just because it won't work otherwise. But yeah, yeah, having the armature on while trying to change the shape is annoying because of, I don't know if that's a feature or a bug, but that's something that happens. Anyways, uh, I'll just adjust the shape afterward. Okay, so I think I have the eyes. Actually, I want the eyes a bit smaller, maybe. No, I'll keep it like this. Okay, arms ready, legs. Legs are really tiny. Okay, I think it needs to be a bit smaller actually, but also needs to be more closer to the middle. This thing isn't rigged properly. Okay, so hold on. So yeah, here's the thing with not having the characters rigged properly. Uh, you have to do double the work because you have to do it on two characters. Yeah, so the issue was that I didn't have bones, weights mirrored, so one bone was controlling both sides of the mirror. And so I needed to do that with Chicky, and I need to do this the same thing with Poyo. Okay, and I can now bring the legs closer in. Also, I think it's okay, so it's really tiny. I will need to set individual origins and copy and paste this side so they're symmetrical. Okay, now let me see if there's a back picture to see if the tail feathers are different. Then, well, actually, since I can see the top of the head is different. So first of all, Poyo has two feathers, and although the feathers are generally together, a lot of the images have them separated and going to two sides. So it's either together or it's split apart. So, and also it's kind of reversed. So it's rounder on the back end, and then it's thin at the roots. Although there are discrepancies between the images, for the most part, it seems like it is thinner on the root and then thicker at the end. And for that reason, I'm going to change the pivot to, or the center of origin to the bottom so that it's easier to rotate. Also, I want the feather here a bit bigger, not bigger actually, longer. I'll change it here. Okay, let me see. How big should it be? Slightly bigger, I think. But shorter. Okay, and reset the orientation and rotate by 90. Okay, rotate by 180, and I wanna keep the rotation, so set this rotation to be the default. So that's Control A rotation. The rotation is now set to 0, and I can now create. So here's two. It has two feathers, and the feathers seem to move independently from each other. So I'm going to need to create another feather bone. So head feather dot L, and I'm going to rotate it just so it's not overlapping with the second one. Okay. Just checking on something. Okay. And I want to rotate it on the 3D cursor. Okay, not the 3D cursor. Okay, so something is off. Oh, because this feather is off-centered. Okay, put this around the center of these two bones. Rotate it here. And now I can parent, not parent, I want to mirror first. Okay, so I want to mirror this so that this is also on this side. And then I can then rig the two feathers to these two bones. But this already has a mirror on. So what I'm going to need to do is apply this mirror first. And then I can add a new mirror modifier. And let's drag it to the top. And as you can see, the mirror isn't doing what it needs to do, and that is because the rotation is back to whatever this thing is. It's not set to 0, 0, 0. So it's using a local, so basically the mirror uses local rotation. It doesn't use global rotation, otherwise it'll be uh, reflected using this axis. Instead it's reflected in this local axis. So yeah, that is distraction instead. So to fix that, I can set the rotation to 0, and there you go. It's now reflected in the mirror because it's now the new axis is this, relative to, well, not relative, the same as the global axis. But I don't like that part. So I'm gonna have to make an adjustment here. Okay, and now this bone, we're going to need to adjust this bone so that pivots at exactly the tip of the feathers here. And now I can attach, set the parent and use automatic weights. And now this will, now the feathers will move. And now that the feathers are moving, what I can do is pose the feathers. Okay, so I don't want these the ends of the feathers to be weighted to each other. So basically, bits of the weight here is shared between the two bones. And I'm just gonna set that to, okay, so set this and then move that. And let's see. Yeah, okay, so I can now move the feathers individually and rotate it and flatten the feathers down. And okay, so I also noticed that the pivot's a bit off. And just because I'm already adjusting the pivots, I might as well just stretch it to the top here. And then now I can move it down, copy it, flip on the x-axis so it's mirrored. And just so we can see Poyo more easily, I can change the viewport display of the bones from octahedral to stick. And yeah, okay. And turn everything back on. And yeah, looks like it's floating a little, so I'm gonna have to move that down. Okay, so I think that should be Poil unless there's something else I'm missing. Okay, just looking for reference pictures to see if I'm missing anything. Okay, can't tell if he has a smaller beak. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Okay, I think Poyo is done. Do you want me to do the third one? Okay, I'll do the third one too, just because. Actually, am I still online? Um, am I online? Test. Okay, so looks like I'm still online. Okay, I just no, I can't check it right now. It's still recording and the stop button is still on. Okay, I'll work on the third one. Let me just figure out what. Okay, Becky. Okay, so she has eyelashes, and that's going to be a bit trickier. Okay, so actually, all right, and one more thing that I forgot to mention. So scaling bones is actually not a good idea, and that is because the scale value on a bone doesn't play well with the other transforms. So after you make your adjustments, what you want to do is apply the armature and apply the armature and apply the pose. So apply pose as rest pose, and then reassign the armature back so that the scale is reset to 1. So okay, okay, bigger eye. And okay, so bigger eyes and reduce the height. Okay. You mean overall size or make it squishier? like flatter like that? Or do you mean like overall, like this? Okay, I don't have clipping on. Clipping. Okay, clipping wasn't on again. This is size down. Okay, big tiny. Big tiny. Okay, and when you say size down, okay, the eyes aren't aren't weighted. Okay, that's I'm gonna do that. Okay, automatic weights. Actually, I don't need to make it automatic. It's going to be on the body. And assign the one armature 001. Okay, yeah, this is attached. Okay, so I can do that by just changing the pose. Okay. And I haven't waited. I haven't parented these bones to the head. I'm going to need to do that for Chicky too. Okay, now if I scale this down, okay, why is this one still not parented? Okay, now scale this down. This leg isn't parented. Okay, now what is happening there? Okay, this isn't parented. And what is this? Okay, so not smaller like overall size, but smaller as in flatter. Okay. Okay, and I don't want the body to the arms to be flattered. So what I can do is, okay, I think too flat. Nah, okay. I can change the hair scale to none, none, just so that the scale is custom. It's not copying the scale of the body. And I only need to set the immediate child I don't need to set every bone to be none because the bone will inherit parents scale. So I only need to click that setting for the immediate child. Okay, and this thing, none. Okay, and I will probably need to clean up the mesh a little. Okay, and I'm going to need to check that this is working. Okay, what is this? Right, okay, so before I do that though, I'm going to apply the pose so that I don't mess anything up from this point on. And I have to apply the pose so that this is so that I can remove the scaling on the bones here. And to keep Poyo's shape because I've just been scaling the bones and not the actual mesh. And if I do turn off the modifier, it goes back to Chicky's shape. So I'm going to need to apply those settings here. Actually, and to do that, yeah, what is happening there though? Okay, I'm going to need to do pose, not pose. I need to go to this layer. Okay, might as well also fix this eyelid situation. Yeah, I think I forgot to adjust the eyelid size when I was adjusting the eye shape. Okay, and let's see if I do that and drag it into the head to hide the eyelid there. Okay, and now pause that movement. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Okay. Turn this on. Let's see what else needs adjusting. Okay. Yeah. Uh, armature works because copied it over from Chicky. It's, yeah, at this point I forgot to set the parents here. Wait. Okay, yeah, it's supposed to be lower arm. Lower arm. Yeah. Yeah, the Poyo's armature is this thing. I can just tilt him. Yeah. Okay, hopefully I have him. So there's a few things I need to fix on Chicky because, well, changing the sizes of Poyo, noticed that there was like some issues that I didn't fix on Chicky. And I might as well just do a quick check. So this needs to come out a bit further. Yeah, okay, so I tucked it in. I tucked in the beak too much and the opening at the correct angle. Okay. And maybe a bit more. And I need to somehow apply these changes. Okay, let me see if this works. Okay, so if you see this is apply modifier was not first result may not be as expected. So a quick explanation about that. Basically, it's a stack, and basically the modifiers are applied in or calculated in order of this list from top to bottom. And depending on the order, the mesh changes. So it is, as you can see, there's like a slight variation between these two. And so if you want to preserve how the mesh looks currently with the modifiers on, you want to apply the modifiers in order. Because if it's not in order like this, well, actually I can show you quickly. If I apply subdivision second before the mirror, you get that weird looking jagged line in the middle. And so ideally you want to apply in order if you are planning on applying, except that in some cases, some modifiers can be applied out of order depending on what they do, but well, not depending on what they, well, yeah, depending on what they do, but generally how much they change the mesh. And so armature, you can assume that it won't break anything if you apply it. So that's why I'm applying armature out of order. No, you shouldn't apply it out of order, but yeah, I can because I know that I'm not damaging anything that the other two modifiers are doing. Basically, as long as the modifier doesn't conflict with previous modifiers on top of the stack or the list, you can safely apply it out of order. But that's only if are sure if you know if it's in the correct, that's not conflicting with whatever the top part are doing. Okay, so I do see something weird. This part a bit lump-sided. So one of these things is doing something. Okay. So it's one of the bones. One of the bones is okay. So is it eyebrow corner? Is it because of weight painting? Okay, I'm just trying to clean up the mesh. Well, actually, is there anything else that I need to change? Because the session's almost over and Poyo is mostly done. And I'm just cleaning it up just to double check that I didn't miss anything. Okay, I'm just gonna do a quick, okay. If there's nothing else, I'm gonna sign off. Tomorrow I'm gonna something came up tomorrow, so I'm gonna be taking tomorrow off. So that will mean I'll probably be back Monday. But Monday I'll be doing the other project unless something comes up again. This week is a busy week, and I don't know if you want me to do Becky too. I could also do Becky. And I guess I think I'm gonna upload the Blender file on Google Drive for now, at least until I, well, yeah, Google Drive, if that's fine. I'll leave it in the description of the VOD so that you can find it. But upload it when I'm sure that I'm done with it, because right now there's like a spot that I can't get for some reason. This spot isn't doing what I needed, isn't exactly doing the right thing. And so after I clean it up a bit, double check some things, uh, fix the scaling, or at least apply the scaling so that the scale is uniform. And I will then upload it on Google Drive. So if there's nothing else, I'll be pretty much be finished Poyo and Chicky. So, and then I'll be signing off. So, yeah, I'll just check the comments one more time. Okay, that's it then. Signing off.